Hello. I thought I'd have a little bit of a change of scene today since I spent 40 plus hours in my little back room upstairs. So I had to clear my way so I could put my laptop down. So I've got some friends joining me today. This is a panel of very wise individuals. This one, Mr. Yucca, he's here. He's very wise. And then this is a baby monstera, so he probably doesn't really know very much right now. But yeah, all right. Well, they go outside in summer, but it's too cold now, so they have to live in my living room. So I thought I'd give you a bit of a change of scene. So what I want to do is just recap yesterday with Delphi from day one. Now, the mainstream media, I felt, was very, very focused on the families, which is fine. But I want to focus on the real issues here. And also we got day two. Day two's today, although it's only a 3-hour session, 9 till 12. So it's now currently 11:30 in Indiana. So very soon they'll be getting out of court. So hopefully there'll be some updates. I can't imagine there's going to be any like devastating testimony today on either side. Like the first couple of days in a trial, it's basically setting the scene. It's doing the things they need to do, like the procedural stuff, you know, the cops and stuff like that. But Nick McClelland called the family to the stand first, which is quite normal in a case like this. So there was Becky, who is...
Hey Ben, Mira here. Great news. We got you qualified at the rate we talked about. Goodbye, city lights. I'm sure the stars will be as bright as ever from your new...
Random. An advert started playing. I don't think you could hear it, but I certainly could. Like, really random. Purple AJ gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Purple AJ. I can't say who's got them because I'm just on StreamYard. And these two guys here aren't going to be friendly to, you know, let me have a look. So thank you so much. You are a superstar, Purple AJ. If you got one, if you were gifted a membership, welcome and enjoy. Get a monthly membership courtesy of the wonderful Purple AJ. Yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, so Becky, who's Libby's grandma, and then there was Kelsey, Libby's sister. She's a relevant witness. I mean, look, grandma's a relevant witness because she saw the girls. She was the one who gave permission for the girls to go to the trails. Then Kelsey dropped them off there. And then importantly, we're going to look at the testimony of Derek German, who is Libby's dad, because he was the first person on scene looking for them. So he's a relevant witness, right? Because that gives us a bit of timeline. There was also Anna, who is Abby's mother. I think those are the family members. But the way that the mainstream media focuses on it is very... So I thought I'd come on, do a quick recap. Even though I did, if you've been watching the trials, like the massive trial, like the hours and hours and hours, like 8+ hours a day live streams that I've been doing to stream Leilani Simon's trial. So that's a full week done on Leilani Simon's trial. I've been doing Delphi updates in between that, like, you know, in the breaks, like, which there are lots, like jury selection and then yesterday, day one. But yesterday also Sarah Boone's trial started, so I'm streaming that one as well over on Michelle Walks. So if you were in those live streams, you'll have seen the Delphi updates. I was putting them on the screen as they were breaking, and then I was discussing them in the breaks. But if you're not interested in Leilani's case and you're not interested in Sarah's case, then you won't have seen that. So I do want to recap that a little bit, and then just a little bit on today. So I really, really won't be on long. I did say, yes, I did say there was a message saying, Michelle, you said you weren't going to be on. And I did say that. Yes, I did say that. I did say that. However, I've been doing short videos just of like little pieces of trial coverage, but it was just as easy to come on and chat for a few minutes on Delphi live as it was to do a recorded video on it. So that's why I'm here. I'll say a couple of hellos. Hello, Diana and Beth and Pamela, Christina, Linda, BG, OG, Mandy, Holly, Sweet Peas, good morning to you. Sandra, Ms. You sad because simply don't have time to watch all these lives and miss the shorter videos each morning. I've been doing lots of short videos. Have you been missing them? I did one this morning. In fact, I'll show you. Hold on. There. So that's where we are now. So 16 minutes, Leilani Simon's journey to put Quinton's body in the dumpster. That's on Michelle Walks. So yesterday, witness admits contacting Quinton Simon's ghost. So these are just like little pieces, either just unusual pieces or key pieces from the trials. So I guess you'd be missing these if you've not been watching Leilani Simon stuff. 2 days ago, 14 minutes, big Leilani Simon rant. 20 minutes, forensic anthropologist testifies about Quinton Simon's remains. Sarah Boone, this was last night, 4 minutes. That's funny. That's just funny though. I put that on because it's funny. And then Delphi, 2 days ago, not done a Delphi update, like a short video for 2 days, but media win access to Delphi exhibits with a catch. So 9 minutes. 3 days ago, Delphi prosecutor's entire case against Richard Allen, 17 minutes. Delphi trial surprise defense filing, 7 minutes. That was last week though. And then 11 days ago, Richard Allen's wife quashes rumors, 20 minutes. So I am still doing the short videos. Now, those are the only 3 cases I've done in the last week, admittedly, because those are the 3 trials that are ongoing. Tomorrow, I'm going to be catching up on the absolute insanity that's Sebastian Rogers, for anybody who's following Sebastian's case. So that's coming tomorrow. So yeah, I'm still doing the short videos. Like some of it's just trial coverage, but some of it is me talking, it's footage, it's stuff. So I don't really understand. However, let's thank you, Bonnie. Thank you so much for the $9.99. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. The rant video, it is golden, isn't it? It is golden. Yeah, Quinton's case is so sad. It really is. It really is. But, you know, it's, you know, some people are not interested in, I'm interested. There's loads of cases that I'm not interested in. So, you know, even if there's a, oh, thank you for gifting, Helena. Thank you for gifting 1 membership. Thank you so much. Again, I can't see who's got it because I'm not on YouTube and StreamYard hasn't caught up yet. All right. Without further ado, let's get on with Delphi. So I want to play this first. This is on Court TV. This is Barbara MacDonald. She's kind of well known in Delphi. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay. All right. So I don't see this on Court TV's YouTube channel. So even if you've been following the updates, I don't know that you will have seen this. I did play, I think I played a tiny clip of this from did I? Maybe I just updated in the chat. I wasn't sure. Maybe I just updated in the chat. But Barbara MacDonald, she's been on the Delphi case for forever, and she's now like a correspondent with Court TV. She's on Court TV a lot. She's the one who had the Odin report. Somehow managed to get her hands on the Odin report, like last September. All right. Well, she did a piece, and she disclosed that the girls were killed by 2 different weapons. What do you think to that? Those who think Richard Allen's guilty. Look, I've been on the fence. All this time, I've been on the fence. For the last year, I've been on the fence, and it's just this week I've got off the fence. I've been getting too many splinters, and I think Richard Allen is innocent. I'm no longer on the fence. I'm no longer being, look, it doesn't matter whether Richard Allen's guilty or innocent. Richard Allen's constitutional rights are being ridden roughshod over. And that's absolutely true. I absolutely do not take any of that back. And therefore it doesn't matter whether he is guilty or innocent. But me personally, just my opinion, I believe Richard Allen is factually innocent. There you go. I've said it. I said it earlier this week, but it was during one of the long lives. Thank you, Kimberly, for gifting. Oh, that's Pamela, but thank you, Pamela, for the $4.99. It's very kind of you. And Kimberly gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. So, again, I can't see who got them, but welcome, everybody. So that's 11 new members we've had so far, and we've not even got into the stream proper. And I did say I wasn't going to be on long, so I am going to get on with it now. But, yeah, welcome. Welcome, everybody, and thank you to those that do donate. All right, so Barbara MacDonald. And I've not seen any of the mainstream media cover this. I haven't. Now, everybody covered the hair that came out during the jury selection. So for those who've been keeping up, Andrew Baldwin, speaking to the jury during voir dire, he said that there was a hair or hairs, we weren't sure how many hairs at the time. Yeah, free Richard Allen. Let's make that a hashtag. Let's get that trending. Free Richard Allen. Yeah, absolutely could be true. Very possible. I actually think it is. I'm not sure it's the players who have been named in the Franks memo. I don't think Brad Holder was there. I think Patrick Westfall is suspect, but he's definitely not Bridge Guy because he's like 6'5". But there are a bunch of Ordinists who I would say are way more likely to have done it than Richard Allen or Kegan Klein or Ron Logan or anybody else or Chadwick or anybody else who's been, fingered for this. So, okay, look, this hair. So this came out, everybody ran with it. And I said, look, it's either got to be, so this was wrapped round Abby's fingers, like in her hand. So not on clothing, but actually in her hand, like she's clutching it. So, I've been saying it's either got to be Libby's because, if as Libby and Abby were dying and struggling, they may have grabbed each other, to support each other, hug each other. And Libby had long hair, so she's pulled her hair out, and it also contained the root. So if you know, the root has DNA. Like a hair root is quite rich in DNA. Well, we don't know how high Bridge Guy is. This is the thing. It's just that it's likely that Bridge Guy isn't as tall as like 6'4", but Ron Logan was quite tall as well. Ron Logan's never been cleared. Well, COVID kind of cleared him. Like, COVID killed him. So if it was him, he's never going to get charged for it. But anyway, not in this lifetime anyway. But I've gone back and forth with Ron Logan. I don't think Ron Logan was Bridge Guy. I've never thought Ron Logan was Bridge Guy. Did he know something? I don't know. Anyway. So this hair. Now, yesterday in opening statements, it was brought up again. And it was a little bit unclear. But it was female. But this is the thing. I don't know how they know this. Because apparently it was untested. So how do they know it's female? Is it because it was like a long hair? I mean, you know, well, males have long hair as well. Like, do they think it's female because it was long? If so, it could well be Libbys. But it came out yesterday that it hadn't been tested. It hadn't been DNA tested. So it's most, and then it was said it's most probably somebody from Libby's family. But how could a hair get tangled around her fingers if it's not Libby's? If it's not Libby's, but it's most likely someone from Libby's family. So are they just thinking that it was Kelsey's? Because Libby was actually wearing Kelsey's hoodie or sweatshirt. And then when the girls were found, Libby was naked, but Abby was wearing the sweatshirt. So did they think that it was Kelsey's hair? And Abby, while she was dying, has mainly like grabbed her neck, and a hair from Kelsey had tangled around her fingers. I mean, look, it's possible, but how do we know if it wasn't tested? So in the last 2 days, they have been scrambling to get this hair tested. Yeah, they said they said probably a female family member. But if it was tested, they would know who. Because a hair root has got a nice little rich bit of DNA in it. So as long as it's been preserved properly. Thank you, Michael, for becoming a member. Welcome to the Secret Agents Club. Thank you, thank you. So how in the world do they know it's female and somebody from Libby's family if they've never tested it? And they're now scrambling to get it tested. And how is it that there are 2 weapons? So are we thinking that Richard Allen, you know, guys down the hill, walked the girls down the hill, crossed the creek, made them undress, then got one knife out to kill one girl, and then chose another knife? What did he bring? Like a whole kitchen drawer. So he's got 2 different knives. Why? Why would one killer choose 2 different knives? Because both girls were stabbed in the throat. So why would you choose 2 different knives? Why would you have 2 different knives? I don't understand. I don't understand. The most likely possibility when there's 2 different weapons used is that there's 2 people. Now, that said, Alec Murdoch did use 2 different guns. He used a shotgun on Paul and then a rifle on his wife, Maggie. But I think because that was premeditated, he did that so that he could run with the story that it was a group of people who had it in for Paul. But it does happen. However, in the middle of the day, when everything happened in 90 minutes, and no, just no. Right, I'm going to play this. So this is Barbara MacDonald being interviewed on Court TV. And like I said, I haven't seen this on their YouTube channel. Maybe they'll put it on, I don't know. But let's take a listen.
Barbara, opening statements this morning. I know throughout the last few days, we've been learning a lot of new things. What did we learn about the case in openings today?
Well, you know, the prosecutor, Nicholas McClelland, told jurors this morning that for the first time, we get to hear the rest of the story. And he laid a lot of that out in his opening statement. He took only 15 minutes to deliver that. He says the last face that Abby and Libby saw before their throats were cut was the face of Richard Allen. He says that they have a witness who in 2019 told them that she saw a man wearing a blue jacket walking on the road back to where they believe Richard Allen parked his car that day, and that he was muddy and bloody and looked like he had slaughtered a pig.
Sorry, guys. Yes, I'm muted. I'm not. It's not frozen. I'm muted. Sorry, guys. I'll start again. Isn't that just a graphic scene? Somebody slaughtered a pig. You know, that much blood. So didn't even bother to take his coat off. Just walked down the road in the middle of the day. Yeah. All right, then. All right. Okay. You can hear me now, though, can't you? It's not ended. You can hear me now, can't you? Yeah, good, cool. So, isn't it just ridiculous? However, that was what she said in 2019, and that's what was in the PCA. But in 2017, she said something different.
Now, the defense had 1 hour to deliver their opening statement today, and that was delivered by Andrew Baldwin. And he said that same witness who described the muddy and bloody man in 2017, right after the murders happened, said the man had been wearing a tan jacket and was only muddy. The defense is going to be attacked.
So she saw a muddy man wearing a tan jacket. That was in 2017 when she was interviewed very soon after the murders. And she was the one who contributed to the old guy sketch. So this one, which was released in July 2017. And that was from her fleeting glimpse as she drove by. She was going east on County Road North, and this man who looked like he'd slaughtered a pig in his blue, muddy and bloody coat was coming the other way, was walking west. I mean, if you saw somebody with that much blood on them, as if they looked like they slaughtered a pig, I think I would stop and ask them if they were okay, because I'd think they'd been stabbed or something. I think I would stop and ask if they were okay if I saw somebody with that much blood on them. The reason why she didn't stop is because it didn't happen. It did not happen, because in 2017, straight after the murders, this man was wearing a tan coat and he was just muddy. So probably somebody who'd been working in his yard, or somebody who worked on a farm, just like walking home or something, all right, or fell or whatever. So it's a blatant lie. Now, 2019 is when they got desperate. When they did, in April 2019, they did the change of direction press conference on the 22nd of April 2019. And we have to go back. We have to go and listen to what they said at that time, because now they are saying something completely different. So they completely changed their minds as to who the killer was. And I'll show you a clip, and I'll show you what the Indiana State Police said in a minute in 2019. But I think they re-interviewed her in 2019, and maybe they suggested to her that there might be more details, and she just made shit up. Sarah Carbo, if you ever hear this, prove me wrong. Okay, there's more.
The timeline. They say the timeline does not match Richard Allen's movements that day, and they say that there is evidence that his car was gone from that parking lot by 2:15 p.m. And of course, the abduction of the girls, as evidenced by that video on Libby's phone, happened at 2:13 p.m. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. We also found out today.
So Richard Allen had gone by 2:15. Now, this is opening statements, and opening statements are not evidence. This is just a roadmap for what we're going to hear at the trial, like the important bits that, the defense, the prosecution wants us to know about. All Nick could have to say, his presentation, his opening statements, sidebar, lasted 13 minutes. There was an extra 5 minutes of him trying to get the fancy screen to work, that they spent $70,000 on. Yeah, well, he couldn't get it to work, so he spent 5 minutes wrangling with it. But his opening statements actually only lasted 13 minutes, and I bet it was. I bet it was set to like kindergarten level. I'll show you some sketches from kindergartners in a minute. Anyway, but Andrew Baldwin, in his opening statements, that lasted over an hour. So there's a little bit of difference in, commitment, I think. But Nick has the judge on his side, so why does he need to talk for an hour? But, okay.
That there were 2 different weapons used in the murders of these 2 girls. One a serrated edge, one was not. Michael and Ted?
Yeah, it'll work. You want to hear that again? 2 different weapons used. One with a serrated edge, the other was not. Hear that again?
Video on Libby's phone happened at 2:13 p.m. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. We also found out today that there were 2 different weapons used in the murders of these 2 girls. One a serrated edge, one was not. Michael and Ted?
So they definitely be able to tell at the autopsy. They can tell, sometimes they can tell even the approximate size of a blade, or the type of knife that was used. Sometimes, not always, but they definitely be able to tell if a wound had been caused by a knife with a serrated edge versus one that wasn't. So there you go. 2 different knives were used. There you go. There you go. Is courtroom audio allowed? No. No. 0, zilch, nothing. A knife could have both edges. Yeah, but if you stab someone with it, both edges go into your body. I'm not going to test it to prove it. But, think about it. Think about it. All right. All right. There's a little bit more to this.
Okay. And then we heard about the hair.
Oof, he says. Oof. And then no one mentions it. Mainstream media doesn't mention it. Doesn't mention it. Not that I've seen anyway.
The other day as well, yes. We are learning more.
And we've got a little bit more detail about that hair as well, is that it does come from a female. And according to the defense, that hair was never tested against any of Abby or Libby's relatives or friends. The girls were wearing borrowed sweatshirts that day. Libby had on her own, but Abby was wearing one that had belonged to Kelsey. She has long blonde hair. It is perhaps Kelsey's hair from that jacket, but it was never tested, and the defense says that's a problem.
Of course it's a freaking problem. It was never tested. A hair in the victim's hand was never tested. Was never tested. So nearly 8 years later, when there's a man been in solitary confinement for the last 2 years, they've had evidence that was not just on the clothing of the victims or on the body of the victims, but in their hand, clutching a hair. And it was never tested. So again, how do they know it was female if it was never tested? And the other thing, and something else, this is how we know about how much more evidence was on the victims' bodies that could have cleared Richard Allen or let's be fair, proved his guilt if they've missed a hair. Like they know it exists, but never bothered testing it, right? How much more evidence was there at the crime scene that they missed that could have either proven Richard Allen's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt or completely cleared him? There's no DNA at the scene of Richard Allen's, but what we don't know as of yet is, was there DNA? Like we've heard that there was. We've heard that there was DNA at the scene. Carroll County spent $20,000 on investigative genetic genealogy. I'd like you to be informed of. So they absolutely have DNA. There's no way they're going to spend $20,000 on investigative genetic genealogy, which is used when they've got unidentified DNA. This is how one of the things they use to catch Koberger, right? Used a lot now to identify, people who've been found and they can't, they've got no identity. Not thousands, but hundreds of people who've, been unidentified for years now have their identities back because of investigative genetic genealogy. And the cops in the Delphi case spent $20,000 on investigative genetic genealogy. I'll show you the video that I did on this. It wasn't that long ago. It wasn't just on investigative genetic genealogy, but it was all the stuff that they'd spent. It's down here somewhere. There, the cost of Delphi justice. That one, a month ago. Creative accounting. $20,000 on investigative genetic genealogy. So they absolutely do have DNA from that scene. So they must have had that tested. Because you have to have a sample to be able to, to send off to have investigative genetic genealogy done. So they must have DNA that they've tested and not been able to identify. So not Richard Allen, because Richard Allen has been in custody for the last 2 years. So there's no DNA that matches Richard Allen. So what the defense is saying is absolutely right. There's no DNA that matches Richard Allen. But how do we know what else that was missed? How do we know what else was missed? We don't.
Say the state is now scrambling to get that testing done.
Those sketches.
The state is scrambling to get that tested done. They've only had nearly 8 years to do it. I mean, come on.
The defense wants to bring them in to say, hey, these sketches don't look like this guy. What did the judge say about that?
The judge agreed with the state and they will not be coming in. The state,
of course you did,
called those investigative tools and said they did not lead to the identification or arrest of Richard Allen and therefore are irrelevant. And the judge agreed with that. So they will not be entered into evidence. We do know that there are some witnesses already being called by the state. The first one's up, Becky Patty, Libby's custodian.
All right. So we know who was called. All right, let's take a nosedive into 2019. Just briefly. All right. So this is what the superintendent, the big boss of the Indiana State Police, said in 2019. This is what he said when on the 22nd of April 2019 they released the Young Guy sketch. The Young Guy sketch is from Betsy Blair. She sat down with a forensic sketch artist to compile this sketch. And we know there's up to 6 sketches, but we've only ever seen 2 of them. I've actually seen 4 of them, but only 2 have been released to the public. All right. But this wasn't released. So she sat down a few days after the murders and said 100% that is the man she saw on Monon High Bridge at 2 p.m. And doesn't look like Richard Allen, does it? No. Okay. Except that's what the state now wants you to believe. Okay. So this is what Carter said in 2019.
A sketch, which you will see shortly, is the person responsible for the murders. There's no ambiguity.
So the sketch you will see shortly, this one, so this is from the press conference in 2019. The sketch you will see shortly is the person responsible for the murders.
The sketch, which you will see shortly, is the person responsible for the murders. There's no ambiguity here. This is the person.
No ambiguity. This is the person. No ambiguity. This is the person. All right. Okay. Well, you might think, well, maybe they exhausted all their leads and it turns out it's not the person. Okay. Turns out it's not the person. But I just let's read this just for a second here. Just to, hammer the point home here as to how important this is. So April 24th, 2019, the Indiana State Police were forced to release this. So 2 days after the press conference because there was so much confusion. So multi-agency task force clarifies points about the Delphi murder suspect sketches. In the early days and months of the Delphi murders investigation, information was developed about suspect descriptions. It was initially believed the sketch had been in the public view for over the last 2 years of a person in the age range of his 40s or 50s was a person of interest in the murder investigation. Now, as the investigation has matured and past information has been reassessed, it's the belief of investigators with the multi-agency task force that the person depicted in that sketch is no longer a person of interest, right? No longer a person of interest. And the sketch released on April 22nd more accurately represents the person wanted for the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. So the old guy sketch that people say, oh yeah, the old guy sketch looks like Richard Allen. And it was Sarah Carbo's information that was used to make that sketch. And Sarah Carbo lied in 2019, saying she'd seen a man who was covered in so much blood that he looked like he'd slaughtered a pig. Well, in 2019, the Indiana State Police said that that person was no longer a person of interest. So I don't know whether they've identified them or what. But then again, in 2022, in Richard Allen's arrest warrant, they said that Sarah Carbo saw Richard Allen. I mean, it must have been Richard Allen she saw, or else why would it have been in his probable cause affidavit? Even more to the point, it's important to distinguish these points about the 2 sketches. They are not the same person. Now, at a later date, Doug Carter said, well, when you meld the 2 together, that will be the killer. Well, no. The person depicted in the originally released sketch is not a person of interest in this investigation. So old guy sketch out. Therefore, anything Sarah Carbo saw, out. Sketch released on April 22nd is representative of the face of the person captured in the video on Liberty German's phone as he was walking on the high bridge. So young guy is bridge guy. The person in the sketch released April 22nd described as having a youthful appearance and could fall in an age range from his 20s to his late 30s. So a youthful appearance. Do you think Richard Allen had a youthful appearance? No, middle-aged man appearance. This person's appearance could look different today. Well, it certainly could. It could have morphed into Richard Allen. But no, that's what they said in 2019. We have got to hold these people's feet to the fire. This is what they said, and they have just assumed that everyone is stupid and we're not going to remember this stuff. Yeah, sketches equal total confusion. And that's why Nick McClellan doesn't want them brought in. However, the defence can call Betsy Blair and the defence can call Sarah Carbo and ask her why she lied. Or I guess they're going to be a little bit more diplomatic than that, but they'll have her 2017 report, you know, the things she said, her statement, and they'll have her 2019 statement, and they'll confront her with it. And in 2017, Betsy Blair, you know, stood by her sketch. She absolutely stood by her sketch. He's not 4'11", he's 5'4". I mean, look, if these witnesses actually saw Richard Allen, the thing they would have said is that he's a really short guy. He's a really short guy. That's the thing that they would have noticed first about Richard Allen. Do you suppose Sarah Carbo will testify? Well, the defence have her on their witness list. So yeah, she'll have to if she's been called. All right, before we move on to what happened today, because we don't know what happened today yet, just want to bring in, this is the sketch. They've released some sketches of what's happening in the courtroom. I would have thought that it wasn't appropriate to get kindergarten children to draw what's going on in the courtroom. However, you know, these sketches have been absolutely hilarious to me. They really have. But that's not what I want to be here for. So Derek German. So this is Libby's dad. He's the first person who went to look for them because he's the one who was meant to be picking them up. So they weren't there. He went to look for them. And we know all these details. If you follow Delphi, you'll know these details. But for a lot of people who haven't followed Delphi and just think Richard Allen's guilty, then this is all new information to you. So Derek said that he saw Dave McCain around 3:25 coming from the High Bridge. So Dave McCain was walking along the trail, so from the Mourning High Bridge towards the Freedom Bridge, or towards the Libbys Form trailhead. He also saw a couple taking pictures. Did McCain say he heard any screams? So at it must have been before 3:25 that Dave McCain was in the vicinity of the Mourning High Bridge. So there's one witness who didn't hear any screams. Okay, so didn't hear any screams. Derek said he saw lights on the service road. They pulled a fire truck down there. Okay, so lights on the service road. They pulled a fire truck down there. I assume that was when they started looking for the girls. He said there were several people with lots of flashlights. I assume that's when they were looking for the girls. You don't know where every flashlight was, but you saw lots of them, Baldwin asked. Yes, said Derek. What's the passcode to the phone? Baldwin asked. Derek answered, 9199. Why is that relevant? Why is that relevant? Well, it's not relevant unless Libby gave her passcode out to lots of people. We heard from, I think it was Kelsey's testimony, that Abby would use Libbys Form, that Libby had set up Abby to use Libbys Form because Abby didn't have a phone yet. So, are you frozen? I don't know. I don't know if you're frozen. Oh, no, you can tell me that. Yeah, flannel shirt guy, yeah. So, I've lost my train of thought, but I'm sure it'll come back to me. All right, let's look at what's going on today. Oh yeah, Libbys Form. Libbys Form. Libbys Form. All right, before we go looking into what's going on today. Purple Edge has been a member for 36 months, 3 whole years. Will defense have time run out and not all witnesses used? Now that they're not allowed to bring in the ordinalism stuff, I don't think they will run out of time, because the majority, you know, all the attacking timeline that they can do is all in cross-examination of the state's witnesses. And then they can just bring in what they want to in their case in chief. So I don't actually think they're going to run out of time. But who knows? Because it depends how long Nick takes. Yeah, so, yeah, Libbys Form. Libbys Form. One of the other massive pieces of information that came out yesterday, again, mainstream media not covering it, is that Libbys Form was manipulated with human hands at 4:33 a.m. on February 14th. So if you've been following the pre-trial stuff, been looking at my videos or watching other people's videos who have been covering this, you will know that the testimony of Chris Cecil at the 3-day hearings at the end of July, beginning of August, and Chris Cecil was called to give testimony about Libbys Form. Thank you, Carol, for the £5. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, he was called to give testimony about Libbys Form, and it's been reanalyzed. The data from Libbys Form has been reanalyzed, and they found a whole bunch of stuff. So Libbys Form left the area at 5:44, or at least it stopped pinging at the tower at Delphi. So either it was turned off around that time, or it was not there. It had left the area. And then at 4:33, the phone springs to life. The phone springs to life, and 15 text messages all come in all at once. So I've got to assume that the phone was off, because if the phone was elsewhere, then those text messages would have come in, unless it was at a cell tower range. But anyway, at 4:33 on February 14th, 4:33 a.m., so the middle of the night, that phone sprang to life. So the new detail is that it was manipulated with human hands. Well, they'll know what was done. They'll know that the screen came on, someone tried to use a certain app, someone tried to put in the passcode. All of that stuff is stored on the phone in the Knowledge C database. So there's no getting away from that. There's no getting away from that. If it was manipulated with human hands, that will be there in that phone's, data banks. There's no getting away from that. Because we've all been speculating as to, well, did the phone get wet in the creek and then dry off and then, spring back to life? Or was there no cell service and then suddenly it got cell service? It's technically possible. Well, no, apparently, and again, this is just opening statement, so this is not evidence. This is just a taster of things to come. But according to the defense opening statements, and they're going to have to provide the evidence for this, that phone was manipulated with human hands at 4:33. Someone turned that phone back on. Yes, I think they did. I think someone turned that phone on at 4:33 a.m. So unless the state is going to say that Richard Allen went back to the crime scene and turned the phone on, so turn the phone off before he left and then turn the phone back on. And then you think, well, what are they saying that? I don't think they're saying that, but they might try to say that. All right. Yeah, free Richard Allen. More likely, the defense argument is that the girls were taken away from the area, murdered, and then brought back to the area. I don't believe that. I think they could well have been taken away, but if they were taken away, I think they were brought back alive. I don't think it would have been possible to get two dead bodies. I mean, maybe it is possible to get two dead bodies to that location. It wouldn't be easy. It definitely wouldn't be easy to do. So I think if they were taken away, they were kidnapped, held, and then brought back and murdered, like in the middle of the night. And then before they left, the killers left, they turned the phone on so that their bodies would be found. I think that those sticks and how those bodies were left was a statement. Who it was a statement to, I don't know. Was it a statement to certain people or to the community in general? They wanted those bodies found. They wanted those bodies found, in my opinion. All right, so let's have a look what's been happening today. I know there's been at least 2 witnesses. So let's just go down here. I'm using Richard Allen hashtag and just looking for the... So this is a really excellent article. Logan Sport Press, very impressed. Where's the link? Someone did a journalism. I don't know where the link. Oh, there. All right, let's have a look at this. Oh, it's long. I'm not going to read all this. I shall bookmark that and read it later, because I do want to keep this short. But if you want to go and read this, I'll put the link in the chat right now. So if you want to grab it, and if it's a good piece of journalism, then I think maybe we should all read it. But I want to just see what's going on today. Journalists are waking up. Well, all right. So 45 minutes ago, day 2 of the Delphi murders trial should be wrapping up within the hour. Here's more sketches from day 1 provided by April Ganzer of the Tag Art Company in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So, i.e. kindergartners. They're really terrible. They're really bad. They're really bad. I'm sorry, April, whoever you are. I know that these are quick sketches, but... like we've had in the UK, because they don't allow cameras in courts. That now some judges are allowing cameras in for sentencing now, but they've always allowed sketch artists in, and some of the sketches that are done are really good. And you think they're quick sketches, but they're pretty good. And some of them aren't, some of them are silly, but these ones are pretty poor, I've got to say. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. All right. Okay, Wish TV said, this is an hour ago, Steve Mullen, Delphi's police chief in 2017. So he's the one who's responsible for all those problems with interviews being recorded over. So he's called to the witness stand first on Saturday. He says the day the girls went missing started routine. At the end of the day, he said he still believed the girls would come home. Read more here. Follow our live blog for the latest updates. All right, let's have a look at their live blog. All right. Okay, so this is Wish TV live blog day 2. So 11:55, court has adjourned. All right, let's scroll down and do it from 9 a.m. Richard Allen arrived in court wearing a blue striped button-down shirt and glasses. News 8's Kyla Russell reported that he was seen looking back at his mother and his wife. Libby and Abby's families were all present in the courtroom. Okay. Steve Mullen testimony, Delphi police chief in 2017. First witness called to the stand was Steve Mullen, served as Delphi's police chief in 2017, was on duty the day of the murders, described February 13th, 2017 as routine, heard about hearing radio traffic and receiving texts about the girl's disappearance. During his testimony, Mullen stood up and approached a map of the trail on a TV, they got it working now, and pointed out where Abby and Libby entered. So all of this stuff, we know all this stuff. The first couple of days of a trial are boring. When you followed a case for that long, they're boring because it's all the basics. They have to set the scene. It's all procedural. It's all the details about the day the crime happened, and we know all this stuff, but the jury don't. Remember, the jury need this stuff. So after learning the girls did not return, Mullen said he contacted Delphi Middle School, spoke with the search party. Mullen did not participate in the search, but said he stayed behind at dispatch. Mullen says he left dispatch centre at 2 a.m. on February 14th. He told the court he did not believe anyone had hurt the girls and believed they would return home. Returned to work at 7:30 and met with the search party, said he did not direct them where to go. Oh, no, you're the police chief, but you're just not going to even bother having a plan. Okay. Allen's attorney, Andrew Baldwin, objected to Mullen's testimony about the search, saying Mullen only knew the whereabouts of the search because he was at dispatch. Mullen continued his testimony by describing when he heard the girls' bodies were found and noting on the courtroom map where they were located. He says he met with Abby and Libby's families around 2 p.m. and said they'd found the bodies and were working on identification. Mullen said that he learned of a store near the start of the trail, the Hoosier Harvey store, having security cameras. All right, so Hoosier Harvey store is got their name in lights. The store's camera pointed toward 300 North and West, and he reviewed footage from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on February 13th. All right. He also discussed drone footage taken of the trail on February 13th, which State Prosecutor Nick McClellan said was to represent and compare what the two scenes look like 7 years apart. We don't need to know what they look like now. We need to know what they look like then. So what you don't need to do a little comparison video, Nick. McClelland asked Mullen what kind of people would be seen on the bridge in 2017. And he said, teenagers, younger people. Yeah, there were loads of them out there, but there were also older people out there going for a walk, maybe in their lunch break or maybe, in the afternoon because it was a nice day. Baldwin then began questioning Mullen, starting by asking about improvements made on the trail since 2017. Special Judge Frank Gull chimed in, asking about the thought process behind searching for the girls downstream. Why does she have an opinion? Why does she get to ask questions? Is that a thing that they do in Indiana? I thought she was there just to be the judge of the law, not to be asking questions. Anyway, Mullen said it was in case the girls might have fallen off the bridge. Baldwin asked if Mullen went to the scene, and Mullen said he did not. Mullen described to the court where the bodies were found in relation to Morning Heights Cemetery, which is near the trail. So it's that one that's next to Ron Logan's land. He said he went to the Weber property on February 27th, but did not elaborate. Gull asked if it would take 9 minutes to walk from the trailhead to the end of the bridge, and Mullen said about. Is she part of the trial here? Is she asking jury questions? Because in Indiana, the jury can ask questions. So they give them to the bailiff, and then they give them to the judge. And then if they're appropriate, the judge will read them out. So maybe it's not Frank Gull's questions. Maybe it's the jury's questions. This is the problem with us not being able to see this, or at least hear it. We have to just, be told things, and you got questions when that happens. All right, so Jake John's testimony, search party member who found Libby's tie-dye shirt. The second person to testify Saturday was Jake Johns, a lifelong Delphi resident who works at a propane company in Delphi. Johns spotted Libby's tie-dye shirt in Deer Creek during the search efforts. Johns said he knew Libby German's family, and his wife worked with Libby's grandmother, Becky. Johns was not familiar with Abby or her family. Johns said he joined the search for the girls on February 14th. He said he knew he'd be looking for a tie-dye shirt that belonged to Libby, and walked 4 hours around the area and to the high bridge, where he spotted the shirt in the water. He and firefighters standing nearby tried to contact police to report the shirt, but John said he could not get a hold of anyone. Well, yeah, he'd probably gone home for the day or something. The firefighter went to the shirt himself, also located a pair of black Nike shoes that also belonged to Libby. Soon after, a person living on the other side of the creek was called to come down to the search area. Derek German and Kelsey also arrived. Or is there a Brad German? Is there a Brad German? There may be a Brad German. I don't know. Anyway, that's when Johns said another member of the search party said, "We have found the bodies." John said he did not personally see the bodies. The defense began asking questions, only learning that John saw footprints on February 14th on the access road near Deer Creek. Maybe they belong to the search party, though. After being questioned by the prosecution and defense again, nothing new was said. No further questions were asked. So 11:55 court adjourns for Saturday. So there's only 2 witnesses this morning. So all just like basic procedural, search stuff. All right. That was interesting, though, the live blog. Do love a good live blog. See if there's anything new that's come out, though. Anything else? Oh, great. More sketches from yesterday. Great. I'm sorry, but I could draw better than that when I was 5. I know they're only quick sketches. You don't need to have a go at me or anything. All right. Bob Siegel is from WTHR. Testimony from 2 witnesses so far. State investigator and former Delphi police chief. So nothing like massively shocking, I don't think, came out today. Only 2 witnesses. This is Libby's sister, Kelsey German Siebert, pointing on a map that prosecution brought. Great. Fantastic. Brilliant. Look at that. This one appears to be the mother of Abby, Hannah Williams. Dear me. All right. So it seems that, it seems that we've just got those 2 witnesses today. So we really, I didn't expect there to be anything like major breaking, anything like that. I mean, look, it's going to get very, very, very interesting though, isn't it? I mean, look, guys, it is going to get so interesting. This case is going to get so interesting. It really is. Because all of these revelations that have been brought out by the defense, now is their time. Now is their time to bring that evidence and prove it to the world. They have to prove this to the world now. They have to. And I think they're ready for it. I really do. I think they're ready for it. And the way that they can attack the timeline with the phone data and the fact that there's no DNA that relates to Richard Allen. The fact, oh, something else that came out yesterday as well that I forgot. All right, get this. Let me go back to my profile. I save everything by retweeting it to myself. There's Andrew Baldwin coming into court. Where was it? Maybe I didn't save it. That's annoying. I don't think I saved it. Maybe in this mega thread. It's about the unspent round. Anyway, I can remember what they said, but also that came out in the opening statements. And again, this is something that they are going to have to provide the evidence for. That Richard Allen's gun was tested, and what they did was they ejected a round. So, you know, what was found at the crime scene was an unspent round. So they ejected a round, and it was inconclusive. It was inconclusive. So there wasn't a match. It was only when they actually fired a bullet, so actually fired it, that they were able to match it. But look, I'm no gun expert. I know nothing about guns. But if you extract, you know, you don't fire it, you extract it, it's not the same mechanism, is it, than when you fire it? No, it's not the same mechanism. So you're not comparing apples with apples, you're comparing apples with oranges. Also, what came out was that other similar weapons were not excluded. So Brad Webber, the guy who lives on the south side of the bridge, his gun was tested because he's got a 40 caliber weapon, and they couldn't exclude his weapon. And they also didn't test the police officers' weapons, who also carry 40 caliber rounds. So anybody could have dropped that. Anybody could have dropped that. So that's been one of my burning questions throughout all of this for the last 2 years. It was like, how many other weapons did they test? Because if they can exclude every other weapon that they test, so let's say they test 50 Sig Sauer P226s and none of them match that unspent round, but Richard Allen's does, well, that's significant. But if you can't exclude other weapons that were in the area that day of the same caliber, well, what are we saying here? There's no case. There's no case. So I just really hope that the jury can see that there is no case against Richard Allen. And this man has been tortured unnecessarily for the last 2 years. So, all right. We can have a day off tomorrow. We can have a day off trials tomorrow. We can have the day of rest the Sunday. But I do want to do a video talking about the absolute insanity that I've only caught a little bit of this week that's going on in this Sebastian Rogers case. I feel I need to address that. So that's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. So thank you for joining me. And I hope you will come back Monday. If you're not interested in Sebastian's case, then come back Monday and it's a full week of trial coverage. So Leilani Simon on this channel, and she's only starting court at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then there is Sarah Boone's trial in Florida there, which will be day 2. And I'm streaming that on Michelle Walks. So I've got you covered. I've got you covered. And then in the breaks to both of those trials, I will be doing Delphi updates. Yeah, the dogs are quiet. Cassie's asleep here. And Tilly and Noodle are both asleep in their spot. They go over there near the window, and then they can bark at people as they see them. That's what they like to do. That's just a hobby they have. All right, so have a great day, the rest of your day, and yeah, if you're interested in what my views are about the insanity that's going on in Sebastian's case, then join me tomorrow. If not, I'll see you Monday. So thank you all. Thanks, mods, as always, and thank you to those that donated, and welcome to the new members. And yeah, bye, guys.